Hello Greenstylers, Cynthia here, welcoming you to Greenstyle's Adventure Bag Sewing Tutorial. Today you will be sewing along with Greenstyle's very own designer Angie, but don't be surprised if you hear my voice as we'll be taking turns giving you verbal instructions along the way.
So the first thing you're going to do is make sure you've cut all of your pieces. For the lining, you're going to need one of the bottom front panel, one of the back interior pocket, one of the top front panel, one of the bottom gusset, two of the top gusset, and two of the back panel and front pocket liner panel. You'll also need to cut interfacing, two of the top gusset, one of the top front panel, one of the bottom front panel, one of the bottom gusset, and one of the back panel. All of that with fusible interfacing. And then you'll also need to cut some main pieces with your main fabric. So you will need one of the back panel, two of the top gusset, one of the top front panel, one of the bottom front panel, one of the bottom gusset, and in this particular case I am making the D-ring tabs, so I need two of those. But if you're doing the optional belt wing, you'll need two of those, and you'll need two of those of the interfacing as well. The first step is to press interfacing to the wrong side of all of your main or outer pieces. So you'll have the bottom and the top front pocket, you'll have the back, the bottom gusset, and the two top gusset pieces. Make sure you center the interfacing on the piece. There should be about 3/8 of an inch from the edge of the interfacing to the edge of the piece. So the first sewing step is to take the pocket, the interior pocket, fold over the top edge or fold under 1/4 of an inch, fold again and press 1/4 of an inch, and then stitch across that top edge. After you've hemmed that pocket, you'll take L1 or the lining, and you'll put a pocket piece on top. Line that up, and you're going to baste around the bottom edge, and then you're also going to sew a straight stitch. You can sew it anywhere you want. I think having at least one pocket that is about credit card width is handy, but you can separate that out into two, or just one in the center, or one off to the side. It's up to you.
Alternately, you could use a piece of mesh like this for your L4 pocket piece. This idea came from the original bag that inspired Angie to design the adventure bag pattern. You'll need to cut a 1/2 inch off of the top of the pocket and then finish it with fold over elastic. Cut a piece of fold over elastic to the width of the pocket. If you've never worked with fold-over elastic before, it has a convenient line going down the center which indicates exactly where it's meant to be folded. Simply align the top edge of that mesh pocket piece with that line, and you can either align it like so, stitch it once while it's open, then fold it over and stitch the rest of the way, or you can fold it over all the way down and stitch it all at once. Just depends on how comfortable you are working with it and your skill level. This is just a fun little option if you want to switch it up a little bit or happen to have some mesh lying around. Next, we'll install the zipper. Grab pieces A2 and L2, the bottom front panel main and lining, and pieces A3 and L3, the top front panel main and lining. Also grab your 10-inch zipper. Adhere a strip of Wonder Tape to the top straight edge of the bottom front panel. This is the main fabric. And then take your zipper and flip it so that it is right sides down or right sides facing with that edge of the panel. Attach it just like so. Then adhere a second piece of Wonder Tape right along that same edge. Now take piece L2, which is the lining fabric, and place it face down or right side down right along that edge. Make sure that the two pieces line up with each other along these edges. You'll stitch right along here using a straight stitch and your zipper foot. It may help to stop stitching before you get to that zipper pull. Lift your foot so that you can move the zipper pull out of the way, and when you've moved it far enough away, put the foot back down and then you can continue stitching. And here's what that will look like. Angie has stitched most of the way, but she's now getting close to that zipper pull. So with her needle down, she's lifted her foot and now is moving that zipper pull out of the way. Put the foot back down and then continue stitching. Now open it up so that the zipper is exposed and so that both pieces of fabric are wrong sides touching each other. You're going to want to press them really well on both sides, right along these two edges, making sure you iron the fabric away from the zipper. You will top stitch right along here. Now switch back to your regular foot to top stitch and use a slightly lengthened straight stitch such as 3.0 millimeters. Now we'll repeat these steps for the top front panels. We'll work with the main fabric first. So grab your piece A3 and attach some Wonder Tape along that long straight edge. And we'll attach this to the other side of the zipper tape so that the two main fabric pieces are right sides facing each other. Again, making sure that these edges align. Now flip it over so that we're looking at the lining fabric and attach some Wonder Tape to the other side of the zipper. Bring over your top front panel lining piece L3 and place it along the edge of the zipper with right sides facing the other lining piece. We'll straight stitch using a zipper foot just like we did the first side. And once again, we'll open up the piece, press the fabric away from the zipper and top stitch.
If your lining fabric has a right and a wrong side, or it's white on the opposite side, I suggest you cut a total of 3 pieces of the back panel or front pocket liner. And then in this next step, put them with right sides together and then lay the zipper piece that you've just made on top. We're going to pin and baste all around this outer edge. Some zippers are wider or narrower at the teeth along this location, for example a number 3 and a number 5. So if after you have done this and installed the zipper and you've laid it on top of your lining piece, if this portion of it extends and is taller than the lining piece, just trim it down to fit the lining piece. So we will clip or pin around the outer edge, and then we'll baste it. Alright, so I've got the L1 basted. When I open my zipper, I see the good part of the fabric. And if you've had a print that had white, you would have doubled this up and shown the print on the wrong side as well. Okay, so now we are going to sew the zipper to the top gusset. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure out some pressure tape or Wonder Tape. This time I'm going to use a number 5 zipper, not for any other reason other than it's what I have that matches. Take one of the lining pieces, place it right sides down. With a zipper foot, sew close to the edge, like that. After you've sewn down that edge, fold the fabric away from the zipper, press, and top stitch along that end. I will do the same for the other side. After you stitch the remaining edge of the zipper, press the fabric away from the zipper teeth and top stitch this edge. Okay, so since I used a number 5 zipper for this top gusset, I'm just going to lay that on top and make sure it's about the same size that it was, and it's a little bit wider, so I'm just going to take my rotary cutter and trim off the excess length or width on each side. Okay, now that's done. I'm going to go ahead, make sure the zipper pull is above this location. I'm going to trim that off.
The first method for making your D-ring tabs. Take your piece A5, fold it in half, stitch along this edge, use a straight stitch and a 3/8 inch seam allowance, then turn it right side out. After you turn them right side out, give them a nice press and they'll look like this. Then you're going to top stitch right along these two long edges for both pieces. And here's an alternate method. If you're using vinyl or some other heavy material that would be difficult to stitch and turn, you can fold both edges in toward the middle, just making sure that when you fold them in that you end up with a 1-inch width. You may need to trim a little bit off in order to achieve a 1-inch width, but once you do, just stitch along those two edges and that will be your D-ring tab. Now that your tabs are stitched up, you can take your D-ring and slip it onto the tab, just like so. Fold it in half and you can clip or pin that end to hold it in place. Do the same for the other D-ring and D-ring tab. Then you'll use a straight stitch on your sewing machine to stitch right across like that, close to the rings. And here's what it will look like when it's stitched. That D-ring is now safely held in place by your stitch. Take your top gusset piece and you are going to center the tab over the zipper on both sides. So center it with raw edges matching and pin it in place on both sides. You can decide which side of your D-ring looks nicer. If one side stitching looks nicer, you can make sure that that is the side that's face down. So pin them both in place and we will baste them using a basting stitch right along here.
Okay, the next step is to take the bottom gusset lining, lay it down with the right sides up, place this piece down, line up either this edge or this edge, it doesn't matter. And then take the main piece for the bottom gusset and place it right sides together on top. And then you're going to stitch right across that edge, 3/8 inch seam allowance. After you've stitched that, open the top, bring the bottom under, and top stitch right along that edge. So we're going to top stitch right there. Okay, after you've top stitched right across there, we're going to take the top layer of the bottom gusset, fold it over to match this end, and we're going to take the bottom layer, or the liner, and fold it under to meet this end. So you'll have that, the liner edges together and the main pieces together. Line everything up at the edge with the raw edges all lined up, stitch across with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then press open. After you've stitched that edge, we're going to fold it all out, right sides out. So now the wrong side of the lining is touching the wrong side of the main. And you can see the lining and the main on the outside. We'll press this last edge that we just stitched and top stitch across it, and then we'll be ready for the next step. So we've got the gusset piece prepped and ready. We have A1, A2, and the lining or liner done and ready. I'm going to trim off this excess here for the zipper. So then we also have to take piece A1 or the main panel, and we're going to line up this interior pocket panel, and we're going to baste that as well. We've already basted that. So if you haven't basted that, now's the time to do that. And we'll baste these two pieces together as well. If you're doing the belt wings, you've applied the interfacing to them, flip them so the right sides are up. You'll have a longer strap of webbing and a shorter strap of webbing. It doesn't matter at this point which goes where. You're just going to place the webbing across the top edge. If it were folded, the top edge, extend the webbing just a little bit, like at least 3/8 of an inch past this outer edge right here. Fold it down and stitch 3/8 of an inch there and there along these two edges. Okay, I'm going to clip the corner of the belt wing, this outer edge. Just make sure you don't clip through the stitching. I'm going to pull this to right sides out and press it and then top stitch. After your two pieces are top stitched, the belt wing and the webbing, we're going to place them on the back. So you're going to line up the notch I put the folded edge of the wing on top. So baste those into place. After you've sewn the two edges of the belt wing, take and fold everything in towards the center. I like to fold up this webbing and take a little piece of scrap fabric and tie it up. This way it stays out of the way when you're stitching the gusset and the other main piece together. So fold that up, tie it up so it stays out of the way. Now we're going to skip the next few steps because we're using the D-ring tabs. So we're going to skip attaching the webbing to the back and or the front. So if you were doing the wings, the belt wings, those would be attached here. If you're doing the saddle bag, you'll attach two pieces at the top and two pieces at the bottom. If you're doing the bike bag, you'll attach two together here and two on top of each other here on this side. It depends on what type you're making, where you'd place those straps. So now I'm going to mark center, top and bottom for all of these pieces, top and bottom, and then also here I'm going to mark center, top and bottom. So you can do that with a pen or chalk or disappearing ink, but I just clip it. So to do that, I am going to line up both of those seams right there, and I'm going to fold it in half, and then take my scissors and just trim it in a V shape, just like that. So now I have a V shape at the center top. So we'll do the same for the center bottom. Line that back up again. Bottom. We're going to do the same thing for these other two pieces. So now I'll take the back and I'll start with the back. So this is the top where your pocket is. So you'll want to make sure that this is the top of the zipper. The other thing you'll want to make sure you open the zipper. Don't leave it all the way closed because it'll make it difficult to turn out. So make sure it's open a little bit. So the top gusset and the top of this, we're going to line up our notches that we just cut, notch and our notch, and clip or pin that into place. So we're going to clip around, and as we start to get to the curve, I'm going to take and clip in just under 3/8 of an inch, so just a little bit less than 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to make a bunch of little clips all along the edge, so when I turn this corner, that straight line has movement and give, and allows me to turn around that corner. And again, I'm going to start hitting that corner, so I'm going to come in and clip just under 3/8 of an inch, about 1/4 of an inch in. Be really careful not to clip too far. Take your time here and use lots of clips, okay? Okay, so once you've got one edge clipped, pinned, or clipped into place, then we'll go through and stitch all around that edge with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so after that edge is sewn on, we'll do the same for the other edge. So we want to make sure that we note that this is the top of the bag, and it opens with the bigger portion of the front down at the bottom of the bag. So again, this is the top. That's that little notch we made. So we're going to find the top of the gusset, which is where the zipper is. We're going to line up the top of the gusset with the top of that back panel. We're going to clip it and work our way around just like we did the first time. And we will clip the gusset and those little clips along the edge as we get around the corner. Make sure the center bottom and the center bottom line up where you've got those two notches. And if you need to adjust a little bit through that curve, now's the time to do it before you start sewing. So an option, if you've got really heavy fabric or if you're using vinyl, you can take a stapler and staple the edges in place. Just make sure that you come back later after you've sewn and remove those staples before you put the binding on the edge. But the staples will help it hold in place really well. So we have that edge either stapled or clipped, and we'll sew around that edge. Trim all of the empty threads or the loose threads and remove any staples that you put in. Reach in, unzip your bag, turn it right sides out just to check and inspect everything and make sure everything's even and straight. Make any adjustments as needed. Make sure you don't have a lot of puckering on one end. Some of it can press out a little bit if you're using fabric. All right, so once you're okay with that, turn it back and we will bind the edges. Okay, so we're going to install the binding. You can do it in two different ways. You can do it all in one step if you're not worried about how neat it is, if you just want to get it done. So if you do it in one step, you'll have your bias tape, and if it comes pre-packaged, it'll come folded like this. Just open it up one time and sandwich the raw edges in the fold. So you'll just fold it over on that. You'll pin and or clip and stitch down that edge. If you want to make sure that you maybe do a little bit neater job, what you're going to do is open it up all the way like that, and then I start at the bottom or along one of the sides. I think I'll start maybe right over here along this edge and open it up, and then put right sides together, raw edges together, and put a clip. And I'm going to start sewing about an inch or an inch and a half from this raw edge. So then I will just do this and I'll clip it and pin it and or pin it all the way around. And it's really just going to be right along that seam allowance. When I get to where I started, I'm going to overlap it by about a seam allowance, so 3/8 of an inch, and trim it off. And then I'm going to just walk it forward and walk that forward to where they meet. I'm going to pin that across. And I'm going to sew that together and sew it closed. So just sew across right there. You can even take another pin and move it off, move it back, so you've got a little more working room. And you're just going to sew that across, so we'll have a nice finished edge right there. All right, after you've put the binding on, you'll just fold it in half, wrap it around to the other side, encasing that raw seam. And then fold it again, and then we will top stitch. So when you reach down inside your bag, you don't see raw edges. If this is not something that you're comfortable with or you don't want to do, and you have a serger, you can just serge the inside edges. If that is okay with you. It's definitely easier. We're going to repeat that on the other end, but this time I'm going to do the do it all at once method, just to show you the difference. So you'll just fold it over, clip it. All right, after you finish the binding on both edges, turn it right sides out. And then for the D-rings, You can make webbing straps in a similar manner as you do as in instructions, but there are also several options for pre-made straps that have the swivel hooks. So they have adjustable lengths, and all you have to do is hook them up and swivel around, and you're done. This has a curve to it. You want to make sure the curve faces away from your body, like that curve faces away from your body. So as you thread this in, you want that curve to be away from your body or away from the back. So thread that through. I'm going to fold the end down just a little bit, about 1/4 of an inch. Overlap it about 2 inches. Put some clips. And we're going to sew a square and then a cross through that square. Take your webbing, up and down. So this is the back of the bag, this is the belt wing, this is the webbing. We go up and back down. Pull it about halfway, or maybe a little bit more than halfway, up on the webbing, the long end. We're going to take the male end of the clip. We're going to go over this end and into the one that's closest to the fork. Feed that through. And we're going to go back through the end that's closest to there. And then you're going to pull it, go back through that tri-glide again. So loosen it up a little bit. Go back up. And then down again through it, the other end. And then you're going to take this free end, trim it off if it got fuzzy, fold it down once, and you can zigzag across it, or you can fold it twice and do a straight stitch across. Once you've got that end folded under and zigzagged or straight stitched, you're done. You can clip your bag together. And then depending on how you want to wear it, if you want to wear it like a crossbody, you'll want to keep these straps fairly long. If you want to wear it around your waist, you may try it on and adjust the length of it, because this is fairly long. This is more like the length that I would use to wear it across my body. And that's that. That's the adventure bag.
Congratulations on completing your very own adventure bag. That really was an adventure, and I can't wait to see the adventures that you take yours on. Be sure to share your adventure bag across social media using hashtag GSAdventureBag. We love seeing posts from all our fellow Greenstylers and can't wait to see all your adventures. Happy sewing from all of us at Greenstyle.